Okay, hello and welcome. Just give me a moment to set up, and what we'll be doing as usual is taking a look at the markets, in particular the FDAX Mini. If you do want to follow along, we do have the link in the comments there, so you can go and get your Apex Trader Funding account, and you'll need the Eurex add-on to be able to see the level 2 data and to be able to access the markets. So in particular the FDAX, you can access forex markets, gold and oil without that add-on, and sometimes the contracts are a bit smaller and more manageable for the smaller accounts as well. So we'll just take a look. If I do mute, just hang in there. I'll be back on to give my analysis as the market progresses. So basically we've got the pivot points here, and they're laid out. We're sort of on the higher end at the moment. As you can see, the price is up close to the breakout long and R1, which is a good position for us because we can basically spike into these levels hopefully, and then head towards the close gap. We saw a bit of a rejection off the pivot here, which kind of helps us get away from our target, giving us a better risk-reward ratio if the trade does go our way. So just have a quick look. We've got about 10 minutes to go, guys. So just bear with me as I take a look at what's going on. On the monthly, we're at super high levels. I'll just zoom in, pull this out a little bit. So I've got the button there. And pull that out too. Okay. So we can kind of see we're hovering around these highs. We're about 250 points below that 24k, the big round number, and we're not particularly in any sort of a Bollinger Band position that I can see on the monthly. So we'll drop down to the weekly. We do have this unfilled close gap from back in the 24th of June, which acts as a target for us down the track at some point. We've also got the daily. Check that out. So we reached that bottom Bollinger Band last week, and it's kind of been reversing that bearish trend that we saw for a good period of time, probably a couple of weeks there by the looks. And we'll see if this week we either continue rejecting or it follows. This is just a bit of a retrace to continue down, so still to be decided there. Got the 4 hour, very centralized. We're on that mid Bollinger Band line, which could act as a rejection to bring us towards our target, which is nice. But it's not an outside band, which generally I don't look at the midline too much. Very similar for the 1 hour, 30 minute, kind of in the middle of nowhere. 15, we're up near the high end, so up closer to that upper Bollinger Band. If we break out sharply, we might get a bit of a rejection off that Bollinger Band level. And then the 5 minute, same deal. So we kind of want to see a really strong push up into the R1, I would say. Obviously acknowledging that the breakout long could produce results for us. Alternatively, we could have quite a big move up to the next level, which is the high of the previous day, which is about 60 points away. So it's some distance away. So that's the overall layout. As for the trend, it's kind of undecided at the moment. We're either going to continue back long. I do note the Nikkei, it's not going to show up for me, but basically the Japan market has pushed quite high, which is interesting. Perhaps other markets will follow. So obviously we've got to be on watch for that that blind bullish nature that the DAX does sometimes have. So obviously while we're looking for shorts, we may run into some serious long activity based on that Nikkei bullish momentum there. We've got about 7 minutes till the open, and we're just obviously looking at the layout, and then we'll zoom in once the market opens to try and map out what we think will happen based on the actual order flow. So we're getting a bit more of a, I guess, a macro view of the landscape on the charts, and then we're zooming in to identify active positions that might be able to help us get in and out a bit more accurately rather than simply following these CFD chart lines. So we've got 6 minutes. As I said, guys, there is a free account giveaway for the Apex Trader funding. If you get active, comment and sort of interact with me throughout the session, I will announce a winner at the end of the session. Just get in touch with me if you are the winner, and I'll send you the code. It's a free code to any account with Apex Trader funding, so any size and any platform. This tutorial, I guess, or shared experience is on the Tradovate platform. So yeah, we'll wait. We've got about 5 minutes till the open, so we're just hanging out for that session to actually open up. And apologies, I wasn't here last week on Thursday and Friday, but hopefully I will be here all week this week, every day, just sharing my experience. I didn't trade on those days, so my account basically hasn't changed from what it was. I think overall I'm about $426 down on the total account. So we recovered in that last session. I think it was about $200 or $300 from the big loss that we had. So I'm hoping to see the market. Obviously it's folding back down. We're heading towards this closed gap at the moment. However, we're in pre-market, and I like to avoid trading in the pre-market because I'm expecting some increased volatility at the market open. That volatility could go either way, but I am hoping for it to push away from our target, improving our risk-reward ratio. Hi Dev, yeah, giveaway. Basically you can choose any account. It's free for 1 month. It's an evaluation. So basically you'll do the challenge just like I am. And if you pass, obviously you'll have that opportunity to set up your actual funded account, and you know, that's when they actually pay you if you make money. So it's quite good. So I guess takes a bit of the financial pressure off that evaluation, which is pretty cool. I think I've got about maybe 2 left to give away. I'll be giving away 1 today. So stay in the chat, keep interacting. Let me know your thoughts and your experience along the way, and you could be the winner. So thanks for coming along to the session. We have 3 minutes till the open, and we can see there's quite a bit of volume. If you can see my mouse around this level here, which is obviously pretty much the high for today, we had a lot of volume at this price, which means we're likely to head south. So we'll just see what happens. If we can kind of push up through that with the extra volatility, we may be able to break that just for a few points, and then the market might sort of continue responding to this level after that volatility is processed. So that's all your professional. Hi Sylvia, thanks for coming along again. Good to see you back. Hopefully that extra volatility will kind of spike up, but the ultimate action will hopefully be that the sellers are in control of that situation. So we're really just waiting out the next couple of minutes and determining whether we will see us heading towards this closed gap, hopefully after a nice push up into the R1. I don't want to really stay in the trade if it continues above this R1, because we're about 60 points from the R1 to the high. So anyone that's bullish, obviously, yeah, I'm not really sure where you'd want to get in, perhaps above here, but you know, that could be the time where you retrace. So for me, picking the long position without a level to kind of support it is a bit tricky, but obviously you've got the order flow, which could paint a different picture as we go. So that's why I do these live sessions, is obviously you can have analysis, but at the end of the day, it's the live and real buyers and sellers that ultimately control the market, and it can shift the opinion and direction of the market. So we've got about 50 seconds, I should say, before the open. We can see a bit of volatility sort of ramping up here in the pre-market. And what I'm hoping for is that we push higher initially, because if we start pushing down too fast, it's going to heavily reduce the risk-reward ratio, which means we'll be taking on more risk in order to get to the target, which I don't like to do, particularly on these 25k evaluations. It's very tight, and you've really got to watch your risk. Now, the thing with the FDAX Mini, we're just about open here, guys, so I'm just going to watch. Also, just want to check that you're on the right quantity up here before you start playing around with the depth of market orders. I have in the past accidentally hit, say, 5 contracts when I've been really confident. Okay, that might have been the touch there that I was after, but hopefully we'll have another little push up before we head south. It may not happen. I was hoping for a bit more of a reaction higher, but that may be all we get. I'll just pop it on the 15, see the Bollinger Bands. No. I'm tempted, I do want to get short, but I just don't know where from. So we've got some aggressive selling here on the 27 contract, I think. I might just, so I'm in, I've just sold a contract. And we'll see if that this level here holds. I think hopefully this is all limit orders, but if that's aggressive buying, that's going the other direction. Something to be aware of. Seems to be going quite high. So patience is key here, guys. Obviously I could have waited a bit longer, waited for my analysis to play out, but we are getting that aggressive buying. I'm going to add another contract here. Oh, it didn't work. Missed it. I'm sure we'll come back up to take me in. Okay, so I'm 2 contracts short, and I'll just have to get out quite quickly if we do push higher. Now this could be quite a bit of aggressive buying, but that could also be limit orders, and then followed by some aggressive selling here on this side, the 11 contracts. We've got all this activity here, so it's ultimately up to the market now, depending on where we go. But I'm going to have to be pretty quick on the button if it starts to jump around, because I don't want to be sitting in a big loss again. So I'll be watching the order flow. That's a big order there, so 24 contracts. I'm really hoping that is a limit seller, meaning that the sellers will be hopefully taking a bit of control here. Might have some thin market activity just above to then hopefully turn us back around, but we'll see how it plays out. Ultimately, I should have only placed 1 order as well. So hopefully that's a 9. That looks probably more like aggressive selling, that 9 contract. And the 10, the 11. The other thing to remember is you could have negative bias as well. So just be careful with the bias that you're thinking when you're looking at the market, you want it to go a certain direction, and then you apply a bias to what direction you think certain things are meaning. So it's trying to remain objective. Obviously, when you have a direction in mind, it can be quite challenging. So that's something you do have to train over time. Remaining unbiased when ultimately you have a conflict of interest, really, in that sense. Not really sure on the direction just yet, because I'd hope to see more of a really big limit order before I see all this aggressive selling. However, that aggressive selling is now higher than this kind of activity on the ask side. So I'm not quite sure if it's actually going to respect this level or if it's just going to push on through a little bit higher. And that comes down to, I guess, being patient and waiting for the right setup and the right indication that we're actually going to go short. How much drawdown? 25k. So the total drawdown is 1500. And I think I'm down 400 odd. But the high water mark, I got up to about $300 odd profit. So I've only got maybe $700 drawdown left because of that high water mark. The trailing drawdown, it really squeezes you. So I don't have a full 1500 drawdown anymore. I've only got whatever I've got left of that 1500. So 400 less the 1500. So I've got about 1100 less the high water mark that I've got. This particular trade, I'm not too sure, to be honest. I probably only want to let it come up to certain levels, for example. So maybe 23,803. I definitely want to be getting out there, but that's going to be pretty hefty drawdown, so it makes it a bit tricky for me to decide where I want to get out. Ultimately, I'd love the contracts to be a little bit smaller, so I can get into one contract and the total loss be, say, $200. Unfortunately, because of the nature of or the size of these FDAX Mini contracts, still floating. So I'm really making decisions on the fly while I'm talking to you, making decisions as I go, and just really, I guess, hoping ultimately a professional trader might have more predefined levels, and that's something that I'm working on, is to make sure that I stick to those levels. And as you might have seen on, I think it was Wednesday or actually Tuesday, I let the trade run in a loss, which was the wrong thing to do. So it's something that I'm working on. As I mentioned, none of this is financial advice. It's all just sharing my experience on the Apex Trader Funding accounts, and just showing you how it works, really, and seeing if I can enhance my abilities as I trade live with you, and hopefully help you guys as well overcome challenges that may or may not exist, and help others learn along the way before they hit those challenges, and hopefully correct them before they even arise. So this, to me, I'm hoping that this is aggressive selling. Thanks for joining again. I do appreciate you attending as well. Kind of hovering around this price level. Often I get out of trades much too soon and the analysis correct. Often I'd also hold the trade into a loss that isn't working out. So I'm holding the losers during these live sessions in particular. I've been holding the losers and not holding the winners because I get excited. I'm like, we're in profit. I want to close it out. But given that we're in a bit of drawdown, that high water mark isn't going to affect us as intensely So I'm allowed to, I guess, let the market run up towards that high water mark that we had without sort of being squeezed out in that same trade. So this is something that I talk about in my other Apex Trader funding videos, is that trailing drawdown. It really impacts the way you kind of have to navigate your way to that total target. Kind of creeping up here. I'm not happy with that kind of price action, but I'm really hoping that once we get to this level up here, the R1, there'll be a strong indication that we'll see a big ask side order, probably bigger than this 9 and 9. But that, you know, if it turns around before then, that's great. But if I see a really big ask side order, followed by some bid side orders that look like aggressive selling, that's the kind of activity that I'm looking for in the order flow. So these are really just a guide as to what should happen on a bigger landscape. And then this is, so the order flow is kind of telling me and painting a picture of what is likely to happen in the short term. Reactions off certain prices, who's getting in, who's getting out, and in what direction they're wanting the market to go. So it kind of looks like the market is sort of building. It may not respect these levels, and I've got to be ready for that. So if I see the market just blindly going long, I'm going to have to just exit the position and take that hit. So we're on a new bar now on the 5 minute. That could just be a bit of a fake out for people to trap some more short players in a new candle before it goes long. So I'm not convinced that that activity is necessarily good selling. It could just be a little bit of a trap. So I've got to continue watching to understand the broader market. Yeah, with the aggression, obviously sometimes it works out, but when it doesn't, it can really start to cost quite a bit. You just got to hang in there and hope that you can read the market quite well. That's what I'm looking for. Hopefully that's not aggressive buying. There we go. I'm confident this should turn around, but you never know. I might be reading it wrong. 17 contracts as a limit, 13 contracts hopefully as a sell. But it depends. If these buyers are more aggressive than these guys here, it'll just push straight through. So it can go either way, but I'm really just hoping that it will go back in my direction, at least to this pivot. I may not stay in the whole way, obviously, but we'll hang in there. Thanks for watching, guys. Are you guys trading this session at all, or you're kind of just watching along or trading another market? So this is the response that I was looking for. I'm hoping it does speed up a little, and again, I should have probably waited before entering the market at all until I saw this activity near the closer to the pivot points that I'm actually looking at. So I'm still in a loss right now, but ultimately that was the perfect setup. It's exactly what I described. We got the confirmation, so we've got the pivot reached and the order flow connected as well. So it's exactly what I suggested, but I got in early with 2 contracts. So again, this is my execution not panning out as I sort of say the market, what the market's going to do. And had I have waited, I guess, another sort of 12 minutes, it would have been an excellent trade. So I've missed out on quite a bit there. Good morning, QQ. I saw your email as well. Thanks for returning. I have had a bit going on, and I will get to you with that code. So you'll get an account QQ. That was you that sent me an email last week, I believe, right? Good morning, Trek Lord. Thanks for coming back. So yeah, again, execution, trusting in your analysis is critical, and being patient. And I haven't done that today. It may still work out for me if this trade is very right, but for example, it's a big, so 19, if that's not aggressive selling, I could be in trouble and the market will just push higher. But if that is aggressive selling, I'll be quite happy. But it's just important to note there's a lot more activity right at this price range. We'll just see where that takes us. Yeah, so had I have waited, I'd be a couple of $100 up already, or even just $100 up on the one contract. I'd be feeling quite safe. Okay, we're kind of holding here. If that was aggressive selling enough to kind of push the market down heavily, would be probably moving a bit faster, but I always get out of the market too early. Don't mind me, guys, if I do mute my mic. I've just got some activity in the background here, so I'll just mute my mic if there's something going on, but I'll be back to kind of keep commentating. Oh, that's great. 50k Tradovate account. Yeah, futures, it's kind of different how they operate, isn't it? They really sort of jump around a bit more. I guess you're looking at more data, but at the same time, you've got a lot more data to interact with and get better with. With the CFDs, or I guess the spot market, you're almost flying blind in terms of who's actually in the market, and that's a really critical component to supply, demand, who's actually interacting, because you can see on these candles over here, I've got no idea what's really going on, but I can see at this price point right now, we've got a lot of bid side activity. So that helps me paint a picture. I've also got thin activity in this price range here. And then we've got this activity up here, which is hopefully indicating that this could be a high point. And then we've kind of dipped right down, and that forms a wick. So there's a lot more detail on Tradovate. Did you go that, Treklord, did you get the level 2 data as well? Or are you trading the Eurex FDAX, or sticking to the US? We're very close to break even here. Again, analysis was really on point, and it comes down to me being patient. Exactly. So the broker they've only got a small picture of the whole market too as well. So even if they did give you all the info, all the order flow, you could be missing an entire continent of traders, depending on their market focus. So really just hoping this price point will push lower. We'll head towards our close gap, but we'll see. Yeah, the brokers, once you find a good broker, you tend to stick with them. I always try and test a withdrawal just to make sure they're legitimate when I first get the account. So that's the good thing about futures, I guess. They're through a centralized exchange, and that if there is slippage, it's based on the real data, so you can't argue with it. Whereas with the CFD brokers, they can say it's liquidity providers, but ultimately, it can be because of their dealing desk throwing the price around a little bit, or the liquidity providers aren't that good. So you've got a lot of counterparty risk when dealing with CFD brokers. Much more secure, I think. And the added data is just such a bonus. It does take a while to, I guess, be more patient with it though, as well. Because you've got all this data, and it can help you sort of get excited and say, oh, you know, this is leading to a turnaround, or this is aggressive buying and we're going to go long. Excellent. Yeah, the NASDAQ, I feel like the NASDAQ moves around too quickly for me, and it's a market that I don't particularly understand overly well, and that's why I stick to the DAX. I've been watching it for many years. I kind of have a feel for how it operates, particularly on the analysis side, and I'm working on the execution. So if there's anyone in the chat that actually follows what I'm talking about, oh, that's a big bit of activity. CFD charts, you don't see that, but that's a 26 ask side order. I'm not sure if that's aggressive buying, because for that to be a limit order doesn't quite make sense in this position, but it could have been. So we'll just have to see if the market pushes lower or not. I think if we do push higher, I'm just going to get out, because that's out of the blue. So we're 20 minutes in. Okay. We're a little bit up. But that 26 on the ask side in that position has me a little concerned, because we were higher than that. But yeah, perhaps somebody put in a limit order a little bit below where they should have, but it to me looks like it's you know, potentially a bit more of a buy. So I'm just waiting this out. If we can kind of push here, we'll get a really strong candle. I'll be looking to probably exit the position just to close out some profit for the day. Now that's the other thing. I know that I always get out of my winning trades a little early. So again, probably not the best from it's not financial advice. It's just me trying to pick the market and share my experience. So thanks everyone for coming along. So that looks like limit orders on the buy side, followed by aggressive buying, but yeah, I'm not overly sure what this activity is kind of doing here. So that's the other thing is when you're watching this order flow, often when you're in a trade, it's easier to just watch these candles and hope that it gets to your target. Whereas when you're getting this kind of you know, big contracts, when you're still in the market, sometimes for me anyway, it makes me want to get out early when I see this kind of like, it looks like buying, but it may not be the case. So yeah, it's really just about watching, being patient. We're at €50. There we go. Look, if we can break a little bit further, I'd be really happy. We've got quite a bit of volume down lower, so hopefully the market, just looking at this volume profile, we're kind of in this happy section. Don't know that we'll get right down. We'll probably bounce around this area for a bit. So been in this session for about 30 minutes. I'm tempted to just close it and just call it, but at the same time, often it's the winning trades that I'm happy with, where I get out early and leave a lot of money on the table. So I've got -2 quantity, meaning that I've gotten in on the ask side to take me short. To get out of this position on the depth of market, I need to click on the bid side to take me out. What I'll do is set this quantity to 2 contracts because I don't want to have to click twice, or potentially forget that I'm still in 2 contracts and I only get out of 1. So I want to make sure that I'm on the right amount of contracts, so when the heat picks up in the market, I can act quickly and get out if I need to. Looks like the market might be pulling up higher, which is a bit frustrating. It might just be a bit of a fake wick forming before it continues lower. Maybe it's trapping some buyers in so that more sellers can come in and take this market down towards that close gap. It's quite thin volume, so the market's moving higher, and it looks like I'd be quite concerned based on the CFD charts, but I can see it's quite thin. If we get a really big ask side order around these levels, that would make me a little more confident that we're going to turn back around and keep heading south. Because of the thin nature of this pricing, it's a fairly big move for this amount of volume. So it's almost like the market's not that happy to trade at this price, just for now anyway. Just out of interest, guys, how long do you normally trade a session for? Often I would only trade 14 contracts there. Now it is higher, but it's kind of also about where the market was before that. So I would expect a limit order to be higher than the current price we were, whereas it was lower. So it's a little bit concerning just from that perspective that the price was up here. It kind of got taken in for 14 contracts all of a sudden. That to me looks like it could have been aggressive buying rather than a sell, but we'll see what happens. That's the other problem with getting in early is once you're in, you've kind of got to ride the market out. Whereas if I had have gotten in up here where I said I wanted to originally, I would already be out of the position and getting on with my day. It's kind of not really sure what to make of this this picture. I'm still hoping that the market does turn around. Perhaps we'll get a little double top off this R1 and head towards at least the pivot. But I think I'll be looking to just get out because it hasn't been a quick in and out sort of a day. The market's kind of not really moving in any particular direction that I'm wanting it to go. So 13 contracts there, hoping that's aggressive selling. They're not in control though, the sellers, just at the moment. It's really pushing higher. We'll see if we get big contracts in line with this price here, as we did over here, but if that's all gone now, that particular trader might already have exited their decision-making phase. Therefore, that may not be valid anymore. If you've got a completely new set of traders around this time, yeah, nice. That's a good way to look at it. I'm probably a bit too impatient where I want the trade to either go in my direction or not. And it sees me exiting winning trades quite quickly and then staying in losing trades a bit too long. So it's definitely something I need to work on is letting the trade actually play out and also waiting for the actual proper entry that I want. So the volatility is sort of drying up a little bit now too, so it's really taking its time to go the direction I want it. But if we do break lower, I'll be very happy. As mentioned, so the account's about 400 odd down. Yeah, me too. That's why I like to get out as soon as I have the opportunity. There's a bit more activity at these prices, so I'm hoping the market will say, okay, we've had our sort of dummy run. We're going to push in the right direction. I'm not sure that's going to happen, but that's what I'm hoping for. Yeah, in and out's much better because you can kind of collect your earnings and then go and enjoy the day and not have to worry about each little big order pool like this 15 that's just popped up down here. So even though my analysis was basically spot on so far in terms of we'll push up, hit this level and go short, I got in far too early. So had I have waited, I'd be in a pretty reasonable profit right now. It's a bit more motion than it was just before, so we'll see if it holds up. Just going to have a look at what happened. Looks quite bullish. I just not overly happy with how this market's looking to be in a short. Guys, for the next session, think of any questions you have, and maybe we'll have a chat about your challenges and different methods that people use to kind of overcome those methods. So staying calm when the market's moving really quick, all those kinds of things. Yeah, so this is the mini. Is there micro contracts for the DAX that are smaller? I thought I was using the smallest one that was available. I'd much rather trade with smaller contracts that I can build into the position. It would be a lot better for the way I trade. If we can just break this this breakout level here, so the breakout long, if we can break below this, get a bit of momentum short, this candle here over this side will hopefully bring some really nice momentum down towards at least the pivot. Then we'd be looking at being about break even potentially with two contracts. Okay, do you know the contract code? Like, so it's FDAX. Do you know the futures code for that? Because I might actually change what I'm doing. That looks a bit better there. We've got the 8 contracts. It's not holding though. Really need the sellers to take control. FDXS. Okay, thank you. Well, there you go. That's what I was actually looking to trade. Before I was trading the FDAX, which was even bigger again, but I was using, I think, the 300k accounts, which was a bit more feasible. I think they were $25 a point from memory. So I'm glad you can go even smaller. If we can hang in there today, I'll come back tomorrow and be trading on the micros. Here we go, 14 contracts, bit of a wick here. Not too much buying, but a lot of bid side activity. So hopefully that looks to be more aggressive selling than not. But I guess we'll have to wait and see. We really need a bit of momentum to take us into a certain direction. Guys, just while I'm waiting here, I think QQ, I'll be sending you a code probably over the next 24 hours to get your free account. If we can just break a little bit lower, I'll be very happy. As I mentioned, I don't like to sit around and wait for these trades to go in the right direction. If they kind of sit around, I kind of lose confidence, but I need to work on my patience. I've been trading the DAX, I'm not too sure, probably about 11 years I've been watching the DAX and the FTSE, the UK 100. It's a very good fact to know what types of contracts there are to actually trade. If we can just break a little further, I'm probably just going to take this at about break even if I can. It's the patience factor for me. I don't want to hang around for this market to potentially go the other way. But ideally, I don't want to take a loss either. So if you can just get down into break even, I'll be quite happy. So we've got some ask side activity. There's not much bid side activity, so I'm not sure what to make of that. It looks more like buying to me than selling, but I could be wrong. There's no massive indicator that it's going either way. Yeah. Yeah, sometimes the volatility is a bit crazy, and you don't have the ability to sit there and be patient. You've really got to pick the highs and the lows to get in and out as well because of that trailing drawdown. If it sort of whips all the way up and back, you can be in a lot of trouble very quickly, even if you haven't taken any real loss. Just need a little bit more of a push down. We're right there. Just a little bit further. If we can break this and get a really strong candle, I'll be very, very happy. But I don't want to sit around and wait for too much longer. That's the thing, I guess, as well with the NASDAQ and those US markets. They're really volatile and they whip around so much. If you don't pick that right price point, you can really get into some strife. So we're now in break even. I'm going to try and just get out. So I've got two negative contracts here. So it means I want to click on the the bid side. I might just, what am I going to do here? I'd love for it to just pop down a little bit lower. It's right there. I think if we break this activity here, these price points will be coming down quite quickly, but yeah, this is, I guess, what I get for getting in far too early. So I think for that mistake, I'm just going to have to close this position. Oh, and I'm out. So $20 for the day. A bit disappointing. I probably could have held it for a lot longer, but I just don't like how it's just hovering too high. Anyway, so QQ today, you're going to get the giveaway. I saw your email from last week, so I'll send that code over. I appreciate you guys coming back and interacting in the chat. It's really great to see you guys participating and enjoying the sessions. So think of any questions you guys have for tomorrow's session, and we'll try go over solving some of those problems with each other. and continue to improve what we do. Also, QQ, thanks for your FDAX knowledge there. That was really helpful. So we're pushing higher, so I'm glad I didn't sit in that. I really did think the market was going to power down, but it didn't. It's kind of going up higher. It could be a bit of a fake out to capture any weak short hands, but I'm sort of happy just to call it today, come back tomorrow. Hopefully we get a really strong setup in the near future. Thank you guys. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll talk soon.